Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We rented movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feedback bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Sent Us podcast. Hey.
Guys, welcome to the Large Marge Sent Us podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters have been talking about movies for 200 episodes, maybe more. I'm Sweetie with a Y.
And I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And today, like I said, it's our 200th episode, bitches!
200 episodes! What is up?
Probably
we are
more.
awesome. Yeah,
We've done more
we
than
figured
200.
it out that, you know, if you've been a frequent listener of ours, we have done some bonus eps along the way that weren't numbered episodes that corresponded to films. So we have done as of today, 200 films on this podcast. Woo! Amazing. So a couple of months ago in August, we celebrated our 3-year. So this is another huge milestone for us. 200 episodes. You know, when you think about it, it's unbelievable that we have sat down in front of mics 200 times. We've watched
a lot of time.
200 movies in a little over 3 years, which, wow.
It's a lot of time.
movies.
A lot of time spent
Yeah.
giving you guys good content. Obviously loved every minute of it.
Yeah, we're pumped, and you know, never thought we'd make it this far. But we're gonna keep going till we're out of movies, which potentially could be never. So
You're right.
Hang
Sweetie
in
said
there.
to me the other day, "Oh, when I move, the podcast is over, right?" Or you said something whack, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
I was just throwing it out there. Sometimes I feel like you don't want to do it anymore, so I was giving it out.
What? No, I just feel like our commentary isn't as good because now we're getting into movies that we like either haven't seen or definitely one of us hasn't seen or like whatever. So I just feel like we're missing the magic.
I know. Well, I think that means we just need to try to still focus more on movies that we have seen more. You know, we like doing ones that we haven't seen that people recommend to us because that's fun in its own way. Sometimes easier to make fun of those. But yeah, so I mean, I think that's just where we're better, obviously, really tapping into that nostalgia well. But speaking of nostalgia well, we're tapping into it today, guys. So for 200th episode, we thought, you know, we got to go big. We got to go huge. We got to go Titanic.
Sorry, I was setting you up with the background.
I was setting you up.
I know, but I was humming the tune so that people would be like,
beautiful.
know what I was talking about. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
Titanic from 1997. Wow. I said yesterday that I believe this is the movie of the decade. True or false?
Of the 90s.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. The highest money maker for a long time, pretty much until like Avatar. Fucking James Cameron, you know, fuck him.
Weeks at number one.
So huge.
Does not happen anymore.
Titanic fever, Titanic mania. Girls across the country, around the world, obsessed with this movie, obsessed with this song, obsessed with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's crazy. It's crazy that many people would be invested and into a story as tragic and stressful as this.
Oh, totally.
Just add a little love story and a hot guy and done.
It was a moment, guys. You know, bookended by. You know, I think still nominated for the most Oscars out of any movie. I think 14. Huge. So, yes, what an event. And I would say directed by James Cameron, who has had like a decade movie, like a couple of them. So if you talk about Terminator kind of was a huge movie for him, and that was your Terminator 2, especially using like new technology. Mm-hmm. He decided to do this one, which did include a lot more CGI, and that was like the big deal with this one, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have in the 2000s Avatar, which did a whole nother level of technology. So it's like he keeps coming up with new technological things to do and wowing everyone, and they become like this giant movie. Now, I have never saw Avatar. I can't speak for that one, but I think definitely the Terminator. And then when you're talking about this one, just like, wow, like what
Spectacle.
What a
They're
couple years
spectacles.
for that guy. Even though, you know, I think he's kind of a jerk and nobody really likes him. Oops.
Oh, he's a super jerk. I hate him. I don't really like his movies aside from Terminator and Titanic's fine, I guess, but he's not like a great filmmaker. I don't think. He just is he just seems very selfish to me. And like he just wants to do whatever he wants. And he just like he wanted to do this because he wanted to take a submarine to the Titanic and see it. Like he's just, I don't know. He sucks. Fuck you. Go Catherine. But Titanic 97, I was in 5th grade. Sweetie was in ninth grade. So she was, you know, prime love story, vulnerable as fuck. Could barely, you know, contain herself. Just the emotions pouring out. I was in 5th grade, so it was a little different because I don't feel like I was able to have really experienced love at that point. I mean, I experienced what I thought was love, like which are just like crushes, but to really get a like sense of the like heartbreak, I don't think I was quite there yet. I remember watching it in the movie theater with my friends, or did we see it as a family first?
Well, I saw it twice.
Right.
And I don't remember with who. I'm assuming we saw it together as a family, and then I saw it again, I think, when Allison came to visit my cousin. So yeah, huge movie. As Sweetie said, I was in like the very beginning of severely crushing on people. Really started in 8th grade. I had like crazy crushes that just did not work out. And it just was this like unrequited love for me basically for like the rest of high school.
Whose crushes have worked out? That's what I want to know.
I know, right? And just having this moment where you had basically this couple, you know, in the movie who meet, and then, you know, obviously it doesn't work out because he dies. But and the ship sinks. Well, that's tough to say. But then also you have that song, which is like also about like a love that like you'll always have in your heart, but will never go away. Oh man, I ate that up with a spoon.
It's a period piece. It's like,
it.
Man, it hits all the spots.
Oh yeah. So I was like full on Titanic, full on in love with Leonardo DiCaprio, full on love with that song. I mean, I was just like all in, and it was great. So, you know, we saw it in the movie theater. It won like a decent amount of Oscars, none for the acting, if I remember correctly, but like everyone was nominated. And then like the 2 VHS box set came out, and then we bought that.
That's Best Picture. It won the most important.
Yeah, well, Best Picture and Director.
Yeah, the DVD box set. It's
not DVD. It was
VHS. No, I'm sorry. I just got mixed up.
And because only a VHS could only like carry 2 hours of film or whatever, like you had to have the 2. So you basically had the one VHS that was like happy times, good, and then you had the second one with like, oh my god, everybody dies, and this movie is like so stressful and sad. And I would watch that, like, and then, you know, it kind of petered off, and then I feel like it did, like, it's not that Titanic like hasn't aged well. It's just like, as Sweetie said to me today, there's been a lot of parodies with it and a lot of jokes that does take like some of the serious impact of it away, I think, for some people. I'm still into it. I still cried when I watch it, but I think it has, you know, lost its luster a little bit. And, you know, you can break apart the acting and the lines and stuff.
I'll tell you when I did get a little weepy. It was at the end when she's back on the ship and all the people that have died on the ship are there in their ghostly forms, like smiling at her and being sweet. That's when I got a little choked up, because you're like, oh my god, that guy died, and like it's people that you don't realize like died are dead.
Yeah, I mean, I cried like through most of the whole thing because it is a very this was a real event, obviously. Like, it's a movie and it's Hollywoodized in many ways, but that all happened to actual people. Like, that was a lot of stuff that happened in there. Not obviously with the main people, he made those part up, but like, you know, I'm sure there were people like on that ship fucking falling and hitting the rudders like to their death. I mean, all that stuff happened. The thing with the musicians, like that happened, like all of that stuff. So it's like, this is, you know, a movie and cheesy to some people, but like that was some people's lives. And that just like, I don't know, when I think about it like that, it just fucks me up. And there's a story that from like the trivia where James Cameron did all the under the water part. You know, he did want to go down and actually take a submarine, and he used all that footage of them exploring the actual Titanic ruins. And he was down there for a long time, and he comes back up and he's just like sobbing because he's like looking at all those artifacts. There's no bodies or anything down there, I don't think, anymore. But he just like, it just hit him like, holy shit, like this is just this like underwater grave of thousands of people just like lost their lives. And it was all, and I think also, I'm just going into this crazy like emotional rant here. it's not only about that, but you're talking about people who were like starting their lives and so excited. They're taking this trip and they're moving, you know, immigrants coming over, or like all those people in like the third class that were a majority of the people who died, I believe. And then you think about like how bullshit basically the whole thing was, because they didn't have fucking enough lifeboats. And like who was getting on those lifeboats? People who were like super rich.
And we weren't even filling them up.
Yeah. I mean, just like all that stuff, and just like how horrible like class warfare like bullshit is, and how those people were treated, and just the vanity of that whole thing, and why they couldn't have enough lifeboats. I mean, it's just like goes on and on. So it just like wrecks me that a tragedy like that even like had to happen because of basically like pride, so much pride from that ship manufacturer being like, this is the greatest ship ever. It's never going to sink. And they never even had any backup plans if it fucking did, even though there's icebergs lying out there like in a minefield.
Yeah.
It just like boggles the mind. So really interesting time in history. And if you've ever watched Downton Abbey, they use that sinking of the Titanic as basically like the start of that show and a plot point. And if you do like, that's actually, it does seem to be like almost like 9/11 is. Like they use that in a lot of fictional things around that time, that like someone was on the sinking of the Titanic, and that like factors into like other things that happen. But that's like a plot in Downton Abbey, right? Because the guy who is supposed to be the heir to Downton Abbey was on the Titanic and he died. So
Two
remember,
guys.
two of them. And so they get that call in the beginning, and like the guy, you know, Earl of
Cousin Matthew
of Grantham, like has all daughters, so he can't pass it to them, and he needs another one. So then that other heir, Cousin Matthew, comes in and starts that whole like chain. So anyway,
And that's Downton Abbey.
and that's Downton Abbey for you guys. But anyway, Titanic. So you know, and rant.
Super sad, super stressful. I was emotional. I was stressed out. Just knowing that like that second half, that second VHS would be coming. You know, I didn't watch this on VHS, but everybody who is a child of the '90s or was grew up in the '90s knows what I'm talking about. Like the second VHS is like serious business, right?
I know, and I wish I could remember where they cut the VHS, because it seems like a thing where you'd be like, I feel like watching Titanic today, but I'm only going to watch the one and just kind of end it at that. Because it like doesn't end at like the happiest moment. Like it doesn't end with her and him like on the front of the ship like making out. I don't know.
I think it must be. They must break it up where like it goes back to the 90s or whatever, and she's talking about something. I don't know, and then it ends. I don't know. But interesting.
So Titanic. So obviously, who are the stars of this movie? Leonardo DiCaprio, as we said, had done, you know, I think Romeo and Juliet before this. He'd done like What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He was in Growing Pains. You know, he's like slowly kind of like finding these roles. And this was obviously like his giant breakout role that made him like the star that he is today. Kate Winslet had been, I think, in a couple stuff, but this was obviously her big breakout role, playing Rose. She's British, but she's playing an American in this one. Very interesting. Bill Paxton, forgot about him, with a sweet hoop earring and also like amazing sweater situation.
And like
that
a
like
fake tan.
And a fake tan and like what is that, sun-in kind of like bleached hair kind of
frosted tips.
Very interesting role for him.
James Cameron's favorite, Bill Paxton.
Right, he does love
likes
him.
to slip him in everywhere.
R.I.P. Miss him, but interesting little role as, you know, the guy who is looking for the heart of the ocean kind of explorer guy.
Billy Zane.
Billy Zane as the zaniest,
the ultimate villain of all time.
God, I hate him so much. Fucking Cal.
Asshole Cal. The worst character known to mankind, I think, personally. And then some other people that are super famous, but like you don't might not know their names, like Victor Garber and Theoden from Lord of the Rings, and
the dad from Jumanji.
He's the guy who's obsessed with the ship. Is that who you're talking about? The guy whose pride was like. It was him, right?
Yeah, he was like one of the designers.
He was like the bad guy, though. Yeah. It's funny because when I was little, I thought Victor Garber was like the bad guy, but he really was like wanted more lifeboats, and so it was he was okay. So when I was little, I really thought he was a villain.
Yeah, me
Guess
too.
Not.
Kathy Bates, a role for her as the unsinkable Molly Brown. Though it turns out that she was never called Molly; she was called Maggie. Interesting. I don't know why they switched that, but whatever. And then you have that woman who James Cameron left Linda Hamilton for. Interesting. Susie Amos, I believe her name is. So she is the granddaughter of Rose. What a bastard.
She's like a waif.
Yeah. She's beautiful, but what a loser. That guy is so crappy.
Wait, who? James Cameron?
James Cameron. So if you
Or
remember when we
Cal.
did Terminator,
He
was married to Catherine Bigelow, cheated on her with Linda Hamilton. They got married. Then with Linda Hamilton for a while, met this Susie Amos on set, and then dumped Linda Hamilton, and then went with this one.
Listen, he's a real cunt. What can I say? What can I say?
And then you have Gloria Stewart, who is that like adorable old lady who plays Old Rose. She's in reality during the movie, she was like 80 something years old. They had to age her because I was looking at her. I'm like, are those liver spots real? No, they aged her to be 100. She actually did end up living to be 100.
Whoa.
The actual Gloria Stewart. And if you remember, at the time, she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for this and didn't win, but at the time was the oldest person ever nominated at 80 something years old. Now bested by Christopher Plummer, but she still remains the oldest woman now to be ever
She's
nominated.
okay. I mean, I don't think it was like
she was adorable. I'll tell you my
award-winning
favorite
performance.
moment when we get to the summary.
All right, okay.
She's just this one little moment that I just like. She just like
Is
captures
it when she
my
throws
heart.
the necklace over and goes,
Stop! Why are you ruining it? What? Are you
That
ruining
is
it?
the parody. That is, I remember they like parodied that like exact thing at the
It's
MTV
adorable
Movie
little,
Awards.
It's adorable little touch. So she was, I think, really sweet in this, and like an old, very much like old actor. She's the only person involved in the entire film that was actually alive when the sinking of the Titanic happened. Interesting. Whether she remembered it, I don't know. But sweet role for her, and then like 20 bajillion extras, some good side people, and that are not any famous people, but. A tragedy like this does that thing where you like get to know all these little side people who end up dying, and you're just like, what the fuck? I hate that about tragedies. And sometimes they do a good
that's why
job
they
of
stress
like
me out.
not making anyone who you are like can get attached to die, but he definitely does that, and like very much here, and it makes
like
me
a
very
zillion
sad.
times.
Yes. I mean, obviously, because everyone dies, but like I'm just talking about like all the little immigrant friends like that he has and stuff, which were just like,
Fabricio?
stop.
Come on.
I can't talk about it. His death, like I have
The
nightmares
little
about
girl, I can't.
I have nightmares about it.
Yeah, great times. So I think we should just stop this extra and just get into it because we're just
long.
going through. It's a long movie, so this might be a long synopsis.
Yeah.
Although we can run through the second half pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I'll have a good summary for you, but yeah. Damn it. And so just as a personal note here, I forgot the notes that I painstakingly made whilst watching this yesterday. So this is all off the cuff, and I apologize if my usual banter is not there, but damn it, I wrote some good shit down, you guys. I hope I remember it. I remembered a good quote that I wanted you to use for the opening, but...
Well, I have a couple written down. I'm going to say them all. Because this is a big episode, guys.
Okay, then I'll say mine.
Okay. It's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah.
Sweeties.
I'm the king of the world.
What? You does it crow? Does it
Crows.
like a hook?
He crows.
Okay.
What's yours?
As I always say, women and machinery do not mix.
Draw me like one of your French girls, Jack. Yeah.
No, I just had the one I told you.
Iceberg right ahead.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Give us a chance, you limey bastard.
Strange accent.
And then last, I'll never let go, Jack.
Let's go. Yeah, she let go.
She had to let go. I mean, he was frozen stiff.
He was. He was really weighing her down. Bill Paxton. What's his character's name? See, if I had my notes, I would remember
Cooper?
this, but I
No,
don't.
that's different.
Oh my God, it's Jaws. No, so we'll call him Bill. Bill Paxton is a Titanic fanatic. It seems to be. He likes discovering the Titanic, but he seems to be looking primarily for a big payday.
I mean, is he supposed to be the guy who actually did discover the Titanic, or someone just who came along after and was looking for the...
No. He was just looking for so they heard about this lore of this diamond, this blue diamond, very rare.
Some guy did discover the Titanic.
Sure, but it wasn't Bill. I don't think it was Bill. I think that was somebody in like the 80s or something, or like the 70s.
I think it was the guy who found the Witta, the pirate ship, the Witta. He's like, undersea explorer.
Anyways, Bill Paxton's obsessed with this diamond, so he traces like the diamond from this guy Cal, Billy Zane, who's an asshole. Last spotted on the Titanic, and that was like the last time it was seen. So it's expected to people believe that this diamond is in the ruins of the Titanic somewhere. So this guy has been trying to find it, basically. So the film opens with them like going in the little submarines. They got the robots. They're like going through the thing. They find it safe. They bring the safe back up to the top. Which I would like to know how they did that. How did they bring the safe up from like the bottom of the ship, bottom of the seafloor? Because there's like still stuff overhead, right? So like, how did they get the safe out?
Yeah.
I don't know. But they bring it up. They're very ballsy, having champagne before they even open it to know what's in this fucking diamond. They believe this is the diamond because the safe is found in the exact quarters where this guy who last owned it was staying.
Robert Ballard was the guy who discovered the Titanic.
Okay.
He's called an oceanographer.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you know when it was?
When it was?
Yeah.
1985.
See, 80s. Sounds right.
It was as a result of a top secret military expedition. So they weren't down there looking for it. Like they stumbled upon it.
I mean, they know where it went down. So like, why was it a mystery?
Because
where
you
it
know
was?
how deep the ocean is there? I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like it's on the very bottom of the ocean. So,
Yeah,
it's
so you
just
go
a
to the bottom
long
and you
way
look around.
down. Yeah, but it's a huge
around
ocean
for a bit. I
It's
don't know.
and it could have drifted.
All right. So they open the safe. All this like brown mud comes out and rust, and then no diamond. He's pissed. They start taking a look at what they have. There's a drawing of a woman naked wearing the diamond.
Tits out.
So they got to lead. They got to lead you guys. So he's on the news. He's like, if anyone knows anything about this woman in this drawing, please call us. And it's like, what is this? Unsolved Mysteries? Update. And then
If you recognize this nipple.
that nipple was so pointy.
She was cold.
The drawing is not very good. I will say now, looking at it in this movie, I was like, that is a terrible drawing. It is like it looks computer generated. Like it doesn't even look like somebody drew it. But anyways, so Rose DeWitt Bukaker or whatever.
DeWitt Bukater.
Bukater.
She has a different name,
Right.
last name now.
She's old. This woman's doing pottery. I love that she's an artist. Good for her. She sees this drawing on the news and she calls. Her granddaughter calls for her. And she speaks to Bill Paxton, and he's like, do you know who the woman is? And she's like, of course, it's me. And they believe her, like, sight unseen, which, I mean, people are dubious when they bring her on. She brings, like, her dog, all this luggage.
Her goldfish.
Her goldfish. She brings all these things that she has to travel with. She's, like, sets up all her pictures. She's like, I have to travel with my photographs.
Yeah,
They're all just photographs of her by herself.
She seems real high maintenance. Let's just
She
say.
was an
Sweet old
actress.
lady, but high maintenance.
But she knows some stuff about the diamond that like nobody or Bill Paxton surmises no one else would know unless she was the woman in the drawing. So she is brought on the submarine. Good for her. I'd be terrified if I was like had been on the Titanic. Terrible, scary thing happened, and they're like, "Let's go to the Titanic again." Like she's just like, "Okay."
Well, she's not. They're above. They're in the big ship.
No, she goes on the submarine and sees it. I thought.
No. She's on the big ship, and they have video footage
Oh,
with the
okay.
submarine.
I thought she was like in the submarine.
No, like
I was
no
like,
one
"Is that
goes
safe?"
in the submarine. I thought it was just like.
I thought they were in the submarine because they're looking out the window at the beginning.
Okay.
Should be
well,
about there.
Bill goes down there with his little sidekick, but they're on the big ship just looking at the camera feed, I think. Yeah.
Okay, well that makes more sense. So she goes and she starts having these like memories, and then they expect her like not to remember too much. So she starts telling the story.
I love how the guy's like, just tell us anything you remember, and then she sits down and talks for like literally 2 days,
3.5 hours.
literally photographic memory.
yeah.
Like-
So starts the story. Rose has arrived in Ireland where the ship departed.
England.
I think it departed from
No,
Ireland.
Southampton.
It was built in Belfast.
It was built in. Well, they
That's
did
why
that.
there was all those Irish people there.
No, they were. It was left out of Southampton, I believe, and it says Liverpool. Actually, Titanic, Liverpool, England.
Where does it say that?
On the back of the boat.
What?
HMS Titanic, Liverpool, England. Yeah, so they would leave out of Southampton, I believe, was like a big spot. It was made in Ireland because at the time you had the Irish, weren't free citizens, so they would use that cheap labor of all these Irishmen to do a lot of their dirty work. Those Brits.
And so she has arrived with her mother, Cal, her fiance, who's like heir to the steel wealth of the world or whatever. I don't know. He's very rich, very annoying. And she's feeling a little bit like trapped already. You gather that she's like quite a bit more, like a lot deeper, spiritually than this life that she is being forced to take a part of. She really likes art. She doesn't really want to be just like a wife. She seems to have principles and like some bit of feminism boiling within her.
Yeah, she's rich.
She seems
Well, actually, not that rich, because you come to find out that her dad like died and left them all with just a bunch of debt. So they have like a really good name, so she can get married to somebody and have that money. But like her actual family has no money of their own. But she's basically has, you know, is a rich girl with a heart of gold, I would say.
Yeah.
Like you have rich people who were just like very into themselves and like not helping anyone, and she is actually like a really nice person, but has to like play in this world that she doesn't really belong in.
Yeah. And we've also got Jack Dawson, who is an American from Wisconsin, who has won tickets on the Titanic for him and his buddy Fabricio in a poker game. He wins them. Good deal, you think, but no. So
He doesn't regret it.
he doesn't regret it. It's the best thing that ever happened to him.
Yep.
So he goes on the Titanic. He's really excited because he's going back home to America. So the ship departs. It's that iconic scene of all the people waving. Really great. And then we're off to sea. So beginning, things are great. The rich people are like wining and dining, have like private
Like
veranda or whatever, like sunroom, amazing. Great dresses, just like you get dressed up to the nines. It's
what
like a cruise.
the trivia said that those staterooms, wherever you call that, where the rich people would have like basically just like suites, would it be in today's dollars $75,000?
$75,000 today
$4,000
to stay for the
in
whole time on the Titanic.
Yeah, so it's $4,000 in 1912 money. That's equal to 75 in today's money.
But the whole trip
Was
cost
75.
$4,000.
No.
Would cost $75,000 today.
Yes.
Okay, I believe it.
Yeah.
Fucking nuts.
It was nuts. I
Yeah.
mean, it was crazy
Fucking
luxury.
nuts.
And then you have everyone else in. Well, I'm sure there was different classes, but basically you as the audience
First
get
class,
the
second
first
class, third
and
class?
the third class, which is basically all the immigrants coming over or
Yep.
people of Jack's.
staying in bunks and sleeping like 4 or 5 to a room.
Yeah, it
Tiny
seems to be
room.
mostly immigrants, because other than Jack, like I don't think you meet any other Americans. It's Irishman, it's Fabricio's Italian. You had their bunkmates are like Swedish or something like that.
They're Swiss.
So you have the feeling that it's mostly the third class people are people going for like a better life. In they're going to go into New York and they're going to pull up to like an Ellis Island, and like that whole thing's going to happen for them. So it's the ship of dreams for, as Rose said in the beginning, for a lot of people. Obviously not for her.
Right. So one night at dinner, then she gets depressed or whatever, runs off screaming into the night, sobbing, decides she's going to kill herself basically because she doesn't want to live in this terrible rich woman life. So she's like dangling over the side of the ship at the end. Luck would have it, Jack Dawson is just, taking a breather, taking a little nap away from the bunks, gazing up at the stars, dreaming about life, when this woman comes streaking by, and he saves her life basically and convinces her not to kill herself, hauls her back over. She slips on her fucking dress and almost dies. Anyways, very stressful scene. And then they are found, and at first they think like he was trying to rape her, but then she was like, no, like you saved my life. So they, instead of giving him money, invite him for a night with the rich people as payment. And so he gets all dressed up. He borrows a tux from Molly Brown. Molly Brown?
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, is that the American Girl doll thing? No. And so everyone loves him. He's like a people person, that Jack Dawson. He may be poor, but he knows how to have a good conversation.
Very
and make people
charismatic.
laugh. Yeah. So basically the night is done, and then Rose excuses herself, but then Jack like sends her a little note that's like, meet me at the clock. So he takes her like down below deck to like the cool party where like all the fun people, there's like Irish music and dancing and jigs and beer, and she's having a great time. She fucking stands on her toes to like prove a point. Sweetie, as a dancer, is that physically possible? Do you recommend it? No.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
People can go on their toes when they have a certain kind of shoes. Like that's how you can do it, because the shoe holds you up. It's not
Right,
like
there's
not
no way.
the bones of your toe doing it.
There's no way.
So
no way,
crazy.
Rose.
But yeah, so she realizes, okay, like this is the life I want. Like she obviously is way more common with Jack. They seem to be a similar age, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's an artist.
She's supposed to be 17.
19. He's
said
like
17 in the IMDb
I thought she was 19. I think she said she's 19. Just like a real dreamer, and she just, it's everything basically she wants. Obviously, he doesn't have any money, but that doesn't matter to her. So they form, you know, at first what seems to be like a friendship, but then as the night progresses, definitely like a little bit more like romance. So the next day at breakfast, because Cal has this basically like this annoying, really nasty little henchman, Mr. Lovejoy, I think his name is, who like follows them around and so tells Cal, oh, like your fiance was like downstairs like drinking and partying with the
Dude sucks.
the Jack guy. And so at breakfast, Cal like flips out at her and is like, you can never see him again. And like, you're such a slut and like all this stuff. And she gets really shaken up, but it does make her seem like, okay, like I can't screw this up. And then her mom lectures her and says like, you know, you can't screw this up for us. This is the only money we have. We have this good name and no money. Like basically you have to marry him. I'm sorry. Like, and the mom is just like a horrible person, but you can, I mean, I love that. There's this line where the mom's like, do you want me to be a seamstress? Like she starts like flipping out that she might actually have to like work. Like it would be the worst thing in the world. And you're just like, you know, it's like, I don't want to say that like Rose's situation is not bad, because it is, because you did have women like in difficult places. And the mom even says this. She goes like, our life is hard. We're women. Like this is just what happens. Like, I'm sorry. And it does suck. But like, yes, Rose's problems are like if you talk about in the grand scheme of like the Titanic and the other people who are traveling that, or even like a Jack Dawson, you're like, okay.
But she's like self-recognizes that,
I think
and like, and she tells
they
him
do a good
like,
job
I know it's
with
stupid,
that.
like whatever.
But that is important. I mean, this is like her whole life, and she's basically gonna be like imprisoned. So she at first decides like, I cannot see Jack, like that's it. Like I have to do the right thing, and then I forget what changes her mind.
Doesn't like the art or something? She like, I don't know. I think it's just like talking to him more. I don't know. Yeah, something else happens. Maybe when Cal like turns the table over in anger or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So there's this switch in her, and she at first says, I can't see you, and then they kind of like part, and then she is I think she's at the church ceremony or something, and I don't know, she's just thinking of stuff, and then she realizes, okay, I gotta take this shot with Jack. Like I think this is what I really need, and what like I can't be with Cal. So she runs and finds Jack, and he's on like the bow. It's the front, right? The bow of the ship. And it's this beautiful sunset, and she goes up there, and that it's the very like iconic scene where she's in the front and she like lets go, and she's like, I'm flying, Jack, I'm flying. And then she like turns around, they start making out. It's that like song plays, and then it was like, that would be the last sunset that Titanic will ever see, or something like that. So
6
like,
hours
boom,
later,
boom.
6 hours from that, she's sunk.
Yeah. So this is like fucking day of the sinking, right?
Yeah. So then just like kind of a bunch of shenanigans. Her and Jack run around, you know, essentially causing trouble, wreaking havoc. Hijinks. She decides she wants him to draw her as one of his French girls, because he has this sketchbook of like all these naked French women. And so she shows him the diamond, and then she's like, I want you to sketch me wearing this.
Oh, yeah. Wait, did we talk about the diamond yet?
Cal gives her, he's like, I know you've been melancholy. I'm sorry. Here's a giant diamond. And so she, like, this giant blue diamond. It's like the Hope diamond.
I know you've been melancholy. I can't pretend to know why.
I can't be bothered to know why. Here's a diamond. So she, like, puts it on, and she comes out in this robe, and then he draws her, and it's like this very, like, I mean, it's just like, there's boobs. Like she's the nipples and the boobs are just like center, boring a hole through your brain. Yep. Leonardo DiCaprio, how do you sketch with a boner? I don't know, but he does it. He pulls it off. He sketches her. He's very serious. He's very, you know, he's a professional. So he draws the drawing. It's very lovely, I guess. And then they go and cause more fun. They have to hide from, again, this villainous, what's his name?
Mr. Lovejoy.
Mr. Lovejoy. Zero love, let's say that. He's like chasing after them. They run into like the very bottom of the ship where the guys are fucking like shoveling coal by hand into the thing. I can't even believe.
We'll talk about that later.
I can't even believe that. They're running through there. They get into the place where all the cars are. They hide in there, and then they start, you know, having sex.
Whoop!
What a sex scene! Very steamy, very sweaty. Hand on the glass. It's iconic. And then they get dressed, go back up to the top right in time to see the iceberg hit the Titanic. So this whole time, the captain's been given this warning that there's been an ice warning or whatever, iceberg warning.
sightings. I think other boats, if they've like seen one, would
will like do the Morse code thing and tell them that there's ice. And he's like, we'll be fine. Like I forget the reason, because he thinks because they're going to they're just, everybody's so convinced that the ship is unsinkable that they're not really concerned about like normal shit. So the reason it's harder to see the icebergs is because there's like the sea is very calm, I guess, which makes it, I don't know why that makes it harder to.
So if it was windy, you would have like wind whipping water onto the iceberg, so you would see the water break onto the berg. So you would be able. That was what you would see first. If you don't see, you could see that maybe from like further away, but like they really weren't able to see it until they were like on top of a berg.
Okay, so the Titanic has a couple flaws. The biggest one is that it can't turn very fast because it's so large that it's going to take a considerable amount of time.
The rudder was too small or something?
Yeah, the rudder's too small for how big the ship is. Yeah. It doesn't have good turning radius. So, as luck would have it, they spot an iceberg, dead ahead, and then they have to turn the wheel. It's like silent. They're waiting for the boat to turn, and it like very slowly turns. And you're like, it's not going to turn. And then it appears to almost miss it, but hits the very edge of the iceberg. Off the top, it cracks the thing. But as we know with icebergs, the real danger is below the surface, where it's much bigger. So it actually cut way into like the ship on the bottom and like cut a hole basically, and like water starts filling the bottom of the ship. So they're like, oh, fuck. So they don't really know the extent of like the whatever. They immediately press the like emergency shut doors on the bottom, like where the coal gets fed into the things to like prevent the water from coming up into the rest of the ship. But they do an assessment. It's too late. The guy who built the boat is like, the ship is going to sink in 2 hours, which is like so fat. Like that is, for how big that ship is, to sink in 2 hours. That is like insane. They send out a distress call. They're like, cool. This ship's she's the only one close enough. She's going to come get us. And they're like, how long? They're like, oh, I don't know, 6 hours. We're like, too late. 4 hours. Just 2 hours too late. So like we're all fucked. So they start like slowly getting people off the boat, but like very slowly. People are very unconcerned. The rich people are like, oh, it's too cold out here. Let's wait in here and have brandy and listen to music.
Yeah.
Because nobody's telling them the truth.
Well, there's a couple of factors here, right? So you learn in the beginning that there wasn't enough. There's lifeboats. Sure. There's lifeboats. Only enough for like less than half of the people on board. So they had, again, it was very much like a vanity thing that they didn't want to clutter the deck with life-saving lifeboats because, this is the unsinkable ship. It can't sink. We don't need lifeboats. Mm-hmm. So they didn't think this would be a problem. Factor in also, if you have a boat that people don't think is going to sink, like, did they really have proper like evacuation procedures or anything like that? Like, why did the captain did kind of seem to wait to call like another ship like for a while? I don't know.
No, I think they did it pretty quickly. I think he seemed okay at the beginning because he was like, we don't even have to go full speed. And then the guy was like, you should go full speed and show everybody what this boat can do. And then he like begrudgingly did it, but I don't know.
And because there was enough lifeboats, it becomes like this thing about like, okay, we can only let certain people up because they're going to crowd the lifeboats. Like if you had enough for everyone, you would have like an evacuation procedure being like, okay, these 5 boats are for like these people, these 5 are for this one. But this one, it really became like, okay, like kind of like whoever is, I don't know, the better passenger, if you're like up in rank, gets these freaking lifeboats. Well, so it's like all that kind of stuff. And obviously it's a scary thing. So everyone's panicking. I'm not going to say that you wouldn't panic no matter what.
Nobody was really panicked until they really started seeing the water come in, basically. Because up until a point, they're still like kind of like, oh, okay, we'll get in this lifeboat. And they don't really realize the extent of it or whatever, right? But Rose knows the truth because she asks Mr. Andrews, the guy who designed the Titanic, Victor Garber. And he tells her the truth, and Cal knows the truth. So a few people know the truth, but I don't think everyone else on the boat knows that there's not enough lifeboats for everybody.
Oh, I don't think like anybody.
Nobody knows that. So So there's all this, evacuation stuff. Meanwhile, the Cal, like, and Lovejoy, like, catch Jack because they go to tell him that the situation is serious and everybody's gonna die. Basically, they're like, we better go tell Mom and Cal. I'm like, don't tell those assholes. Like, fuck them.
Yeah.
Go start your new life.
First mistake.
So Cal, like, has Jack arrested or whatever. Slips the necklace in his pocket to make it look like he stole it from him. They lock Jack up. They handcuff him to a pole, like in the very bottom of the ship, and are like, see you later. And Lovejoy's like, oh, I'll keep an eye on him. But then when the things get dire, he's like, well, I'm out of here, bye. And then poor Jack is stuck to the pole or whatever. So Rose, meanwhile, gets pulled, they try to shove her onto a lifeboat. She can't leave Jack. She doesn't want to.
They convince her that Jack stole the necklace.
I don't think they really convinced her. I think she knew. Did she say, like, I knew?
Well, but it took her a while.
Knew.
But it took her a while. Again, there was still like this uneasiness because, she's no dummy. She hasn't only known Jack for like a couple hours. And then she learns that he stole another coat. And like, so stuff is kind of coming. It's just moving too fast for her, I feel like. And she's like, kind of like, okay. And it's just kind of like stunned. Also trying to deal with the ship is probably going to sink.
Yeah.
So she goes with them initially and is with her mother and tries is going to get a lifeboat, and then it kind of hits her like, okay, I gotta get fucking out of here. I gotta find Jack. Like, this is my one shot here. So she leaves her mom and all the kind of rich people they were hanging out with get on the boat. Cal doesn't, because at this point they're just doing women and children. Mm-hmm. So she misses her first boat opportunity, runs to go get Jack. Now Jack, as Sweetie said, is handcuffed to a pole or a pipe in the basement, and like he is at the very bottom of the boat, so that's going to be filling up with water first. So like she gets down there and like water is already down there, so it is like a dire situation, and she's trying to find people to help her, and everyone's panicking, whatever. She finally finds an axe, and at this point the water is like high. I mean, like you're swimming basically trying to get to him, and she's able to use the axe and like chop his handcuffs, and he's finally free. So thank God. So they're like, okay, we can get out of here.
She closes her eyes at the last second.
Okay.
It's really stressful.
What if she had hit him and would have been like,
and then he was handless
and be like, well,
bleeding
I think
out.
This is the end of the rope.
We did it. It's
We
out.
tried.
I love when he's like, he's like, do a couple practice swings over there, and she hits it, and he's like, good. Now try to hit the same spot again, and she hits like way off to the side. He's like, okay, well,
that's
we
enough
tried.
practice.
It's great.
Yeah,
Little
so now
brief
they're in
moments
the
of
bottom
comedy.
of the deck, which is probably bottom of the boat, which is the worst place to be because they're in the third class, where they have now locked all the third class passengers behind these gates because they don't want like a bum rush to the lifeboats. But like, what the fuck? So everyone is freaking out. They're trying to get up. The water's rising. Jack, ends up probably the most like street smart person throughout this entire movie. Like, no matter what situation is, he seems to be a pro at it and knows exactly what to do and seems very calm.
Go Jack.
Yeah, he's like a great character. So he finds like his friends. So he's like an Irish buddy and Fabrizio, the guy he came on, his Italian buddy. And they're locked behind these gates. He like grabs a bench that is literally like welded to the floor with some help, and they like fucking bum rush the thing and open the gate. So it's like, everybody out. So like all the third class passengers can finally like get up to the deck and maybe fucking survive.
Yeah. But turns out no. So now at this point, I mean, all the boats are gone pretty much. The Cal fucking like steals a child and is like, I have a child, let me on the boat. So he gets on the boat.
Well, so then the second boat one is they meet Cal and they are like all together waiting for a boat, remember? And that's when he convinces Rose to get in the boat because he made arrangements and he will get Jack on the next lifeboat. Right. So she drops into another boat and is like thinking and is like, screw this, jumps off that boat to go back to Jack. And then they realize like they're just going to fend for themselves and not like try to get on a lifeboat.
They just live together, die together. Yeah. So now it's just this kind of basically the ship is sinking. So Rose and Jack are holding on to the railing of the ship with all these people. In the beginning, they show like how the Titanic sank and it filled with water, and then like its nose sunk down, and then the top went up really high in the air, but then it breaks, and so now they're on that second half of the ship. So now it's broken and it's going back into the ocean, like right side up, like full vertically down. So they're holding on to the rail, and Jack's like obviously knows about everything. Yeah, he's like, he knows about cold water because he grew up in Wisconsin. He knows what to do if you're standing on a ship that's sinking. He's like, you hold on to the very last minute, and then you just kick as hard as you can, and like,
okay, the boat's gonna suck you under, but like he has this whole
just
plan.
like knows everything.
I'm like, have you been on a sinking ship before? Like, what is happening
Common
here?
sense. I don't know. So they, whatever. So now they're in the water. They kick out. The water is freezing as fuck. Rose has a life jacket on. Jack does not. But they find each other anyways. He finds this big door and puts Rose on it. He tries to get on the door, but it's too heavy, so only Rose can be in it. So he stays in the water. There's just a sea of people. A sea of people are in the water, bobbing in their life preservers. Some don't have life preservers, whatever. All the lifeboats have rowed away. Unsinkable Molly Brown's like, listen, we got to go back. Like, there's fucking people in the water. And they're like, no, ma'am, I will throw you out of this boat if you... And she's like, I don't understand you people. And I'm like, that's right, Molly. These fuckers suck. So there's only one boat that goes back. One boat. This sweet guy. I'm giving him Sweetie of the Month award.
He's amazing.
I love this guy. He says, he's like, everybody, they change ships. They get everybody onto like one ship because, like we said, there's enough room on these ships for like 120 people.
Right, so
and they're only
thing.
putting like 60 people on there.
Okay, that was like the worst part for me when the guy comes up to him, the Victor Garber who designed all this stuff. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? That lifeboat just left with 12 people. They can fit 60. And the guy tries to tell him, we weren't sure about the weight, blah blah blah. They tried it with 70 people and they stayed afloat. Like, are you crazy?
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
So this one boat goes back. Everyone is frozen, dead in the water. It's a sea of dead people. It's the eeriest thing ever. They just have this little flashlight and they're like going over people. The woman holding a dead frozen baby. Oh my God. I did not remember that part. I was like, what the fuck? So Rose at this point is like, Jack, the boat's here, Jack. And then she realizes he's dead. And so she's obviously really upset. And then she's like about to give up too. And then is like, wait a minute. Like, I told Jack that I would like live on and like live and survive. So she's like, doesn't throw Jack away, but she undoes her hands frozen from Jack, and he falls. Bye. His like little body, ghostly forms, you know, an image that's burned in my brain for the rest of my life. Little Jack being like, so then she's like falls off the door, goes to the guy next to her who's dead. He had a whistle, so she's whistling. She's like blowing that. Her hair is covered in ice. It's like, have you ever felt so cold watching something? I have not.
Freezing watching them.
I was like, oh my God. So the ship comes back for her. They get her in there. They like wrap her in a blanket. I guess she's okay. The Carpathia comes and saves them. So you know everyone gets on the ship and it gets taken care of. So like, thank God, all the rich people and a few other people lived. There's a scene where old Rose now is back in present day on the ship by the Titanic wreckage, and she's like, 1,200 people went into the water. This thing that she says is exactly like Quint's speech in Jaws. Yeah. And I was like laughing because I was like, oh, that would have been a really good parody if like she or like Unsinkable Molly Brown were like, 1,200 people went in the water that day. Only like 90 came out and like the rest died. That was the day we dropped the bomb. It was 1,200 people went into the water.
And how many did they pull out?
Like a couple hundred, I think. Yeah. I forget the actual, but the Jaws one is 1,100 people went in the water. So I was like, whoa, it's like almost the same. Yeah. Meanwhile, Rose is on the boat and she's like with a blanket, and she sees Cal, and I don't know where she hid from her mom too, but she basically decides at that moment to like start her life over and kind of pretend like she died. Her old identity, Rose DeWitt, whatever, died, and then she tells the guy her name is Rose Dawson, like Jack. So that's very sweet. And then she puts her hand in the pocket. Oops. The necklace is in there because fucking Cal put the necklace in there and then gave Rose his jacket to keep her warm. Idiot. So he really realizes that and is upset. So like at the end when he's looking for her, he really, I feel, is looking for the necklace, not for Rose, which you're really like, oh, he's such the worst.
Well, it's so like with the Cal character, why do you think he was just so, because he tries to come and get her back a bunch of times, and it is no way because he like has any feelings for her. It's just so that the winning kind of thing, right?
He like tries to shoot them a bunch of times. You're like, what the fuck?
He just doesn't want to be like the loser, even though he was the biggest loser.
The biggest loser of all time.
From the beginning, no matter what.
Of all time. So then basically the old Rose is like, well, and that's the last, she tells them like the necklace was never seen again. Yeah. So she tells this whole long story and they're like, oh, I guess we'll never find it. So then in the middle of the night, she like gets up walks to the end, takes the necklace out of her pocket, which we know by this point that she has, and then she drops it into the ocean, boop, and then it drops and goes back to where it should live or whatever. But here's what I think. I think that isn't somebody else, some other Titanic person who's interested in something is just gonna like find it on the floor of the ocean and be like, here it is. Like,
if you just drop something randomly like that, who knows where it would fly? It's not going to go straight
Here's
down.
the other thing I think. I think that she should have taken that and like sold it and had money. Well, how did she have money?
That's what's ironic is that so she got off and started this new life. What did she
how?
do?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how people came to the US with like almost no money in their pocket. You just find somebody, you get a job, you like live on the street. I mean, she worked her way up.
Trauma.
And you know, you see from her pictures because she had promised Jack that she was going to live this life and do all these things, and she really does. So they have a picture of her on a plane, like flying a plane, horseback riding, Coney Island it looked like. She has kids, you know, she does everything that she told him she would do. So it's like she had always, you know, they obviously had a brief love affair. It was only like a day or whatever we said, but that stuck with her forever. And you know and she ends up dying that night. She lets go of that necklace and it kind of floats to the bottom, and then she dies in her sleep that night. As Jack said, I want you to die in a warm bed in your sleep. And then
when you're 100 years old.
When you're 100 years old,
man,
I know
he knew
He's
everything
fucking fortune
and
teller.
was a seer.
I know. And they kind of do this pretty moment where, as we said in the beginning, she goes back and is back on the Titanic. So they start where it's all a ruin, but then it gets all filled into what it used to be. And all the people who died are there, and they're just like, hey, welcome back, welcome back. And then Jack is on the top of the stairs, and they have this really nice kiss. And it's so beautiful. And then they play the Celine Dion song. And oh, man, murdered. I'm dead. Done.
It's great.
I'm done.
It's great. It's great. So then the Celine Dion. So everyone, obviously, the Titanic, there was the movie The Titanic, but then there was also this song, My Heart Will Go On, by Celine Dion. We had the soundtrack of Titanic, and obviously played this song forever. I love this song so much. It's just really great. It's like an amazing ballad. It's Celine Dion, obviously, so you're like in good hands. Wow. Is it great? Does it wail? I mean, man, I played it like 3 times already since I watched this last night, and it keeps getting better.
Just epic.
I tell you.
And so I read that like you know, they weren't going to do any song. They didn't want a song like an actual song in this, and the composer James Horner had to convince James Cameron to like include something, but he didn't want it like in the picture. So it's like the credits. This is not like
the song with the words. They play the melody several times throughout, and there's this like other one with a woman's voice when they're kissing.
Right.
It's like that.
So, but then they have this really big kind of ballad one at the rolling of the credits, and so they convince James Cameron to do it, and then they get Celine Dion on board, and she hears it, learns it, and then they do like one version of it, and then she didn't want to do it again, or she's like, that's good, and then that's the one they use. So it's like literally she had one take of it. Like that woman's amazing.
She's amazing.
Yeah, it's just so good, and I just brings back so many memories of just like playing that on repeat. That was again. So this movie was number 15 weeks, like number 1 box office, whatever. That song was like, I don't know, months
maybe
on the top of the charts. Holy
know.
crap! I just remember that song would not die.
Yeah. So my memory of this song is that at this point in my life, 5th grade, for Christmas, I don't know if you remember this, but I got those like mini speakers that you plug them into the headphone jack of your CD player, and they were like little speakers. I thought it was like the coolest fucking thing. I brought them on the school bus. Me and my friends, 5th grade, sat in the back of the bus. We're like playing our songs over the speakers. April, too loud. So we're playing My Heart Will Go On. And so we're like, let's listen to My Heart Will Go On and cry in the back of the bus. So we're like listening to it on the speakers, and we're all like crying, even though. So I, like I said, was not probably in love or hadn't been to this point. I was pretending to cry, or maybe was really crying by envisioning something I thought was truly sad, like my dog dying or something. So that's what I was using to get to the emotion. But presumably all these other girls were crying, thinking of Leonardo DiCaprio dying. And I was like, Sonny. Anyway, so we're like crying. So that's what we did. And it was the cool thing.
You can use it however you want to use it.
Sure. You know? I mean, it's a great song. My sweetie and I both have the favorite part. It's like the crescendo at the end, when Celine just like goes all the way, and she just like, you're here, there's nothing I fear.
She's so emotion in her voice in
that part. It's that, and
Yeah.
I know that. That's the part. That's the part. I love that so much.
We'll stay forever.
The this way. You are safe in my heart. And then she like really, my heart
Can't hold that note.
go on and on. So great. So great. Ugh.
A couple months ago, I went up with Jimmy, and then we were giving a ride to his like mom's friend because they were going to a Celine Dion concert in like Canada, and we were all going up to Vermont. We were spending a night there, and this woman in the car with us had never heard of Celine Dion. It was very strange.
What?
And I was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "We need to play the hits right now." So Jimmy's driving. This Val is in the back, and I'm in the passenger seat, and I find this like Celine Dion, and I just go through like the hits, let's say, and I am like belting out in front of this stranger that I don't even know, and she's like, "Yeah, these songs are good." I was like, "Val, I'm just giving you a preview of the concert. This is going to be amazing." I was like, "Can I go to the concert?" She like was not interested at all. It was so funny.
Wait, what are the other like really great Celine Dion songs?
So what are the others to play? There's no easy way out. The power of love.
What's that one? No. Huey Lewis on the News.
No.
What's that other one? That other like really famous one that's like
She did a lot of soundtrack ones. She did that Up Close and Personal soundtrack one, which now I'm forgetting. Power of Love, I like. If you ask me to, I just might change my mind. You know that one?
kind of. Maybe.
What is the real big one here?
I know, that's what I'm like. Because You Love Me.
Yep.
Wait.
Because You Love Me.
Because You Love Me. No,
That's a cover.
Beauty and the Beast, obviously. It's all coming back to me now.
Yep.
It's no easy. Oh, that's the one we were just singing. Damn it! I think it's all coming back to me now. It was hard to believe, but it's all coming back to me now. Oh, that one's good.
The way.
But yeah, I love her. I love her. So okay, Whew. Titanic.
Where does my
So
heart be now?
here's my list of the four. Like I don't know. I don't have my list in front of me, but I wrote some things down that were very anxiety producing for me. Here they are. The mother reading her children a bedtime story as the ship is sinking. Oh my God. Yeah. Number 2, the old people cuddling with each other as the ship is sinking.
Do you know who those old people were?
James Cameron's parents?
No. So they were the people who started the department store Macy's, and they were a Jewish couple,
random.
and the woman would have been able to get on a boat, and she said no, like I want to die with my husband, and they like go into their room, and that's just what happened to them.
This is real life now.
Yes.
Oh my God. Wow.
I know.
Interesting. The musicians. So the musicians are like a really great part, obviously, because they're like, let's calm the people. This is like classic, like bougie, like let's keep the rich people comfortable as they're getting into the lifeboats by playing string music. So they're playing these things or whatever, and then
jaunty tunes.
Yes. So then they realize nobody's actually listening to them. So let's play whatever you want. They're like Mozart and Fa, and then like they do whatever. So then they stay until the very end, and they see the water coming, and then the like one guy's like, "It's been an honor playing with you, gentlemen," and then they die. Ugh, you don't see them die, but
okay. So this is the part that I cry at every time, and what starts the tears for me. Okay, because you have that sweet main violinist guy.
Yes.
And says, thanks, gentlemen, like basically try to get to the lifeboats or whatever. But he stays. He remains there. And then the guys see him and they're like, oh, no, he's staying. Like, well, we should stay too.
But that was before he says.
And they come back. No, but right, this is the first time. And they come back and they start playing this very sad song. And that is a song you see all the people die to. That's the one the woman's reading the kids, the couple in the bed. Like all these people saying goodbye to like their loved ones. And like that this was a moment that you had these people like literally choosing between life and death. Most of them died, but a lot of them just chose to just go down with the ship, essentially. The captain, which is very traditional. A captain goes down with his ship. That's a very traditional seafaring thing. There's all these traditions with ships and stuff, and like a captain always goes down with his ship. He would never be on a lifeboat. Like he just goes down with it. So all this just like sad stuff, and that part gets me every time. I just started crying with the musicians. Yeah. Oh my God, because it's the mixture of not only that group and how sweet they were to keep playing and then come back and kind of be together, but then also that music tied in and just like, oh God.
And he's like, it's been an honor playing with you. Oh God. It's too much. That part, the part where the captain, he basically just like locks himself in the captain's quarters, whatever, and you just see the windows filling up with water, and then the windows breaks and he dies. Victor Garber, Mr. Andrews shoots himself.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, who's the person that shoots himself?
So the guy who shoots himself is Mr. Murdoch, who is like, the second captain. So he, remember, had taken money from Cal to get him on a boat. And then when that's like kind of arrangement goes down, he's like, I don't want your money. Like, get back. And he realizes that he can't be doing that kind of stuff. And then also kind of blames himself for like, I think a little bit of what's going on. And he shoots somebody. That's actually why he killed himself.
Fabrizio.
Right?
Wait, Fabrizio?
No. Billy, or the Irish guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Then wait, how does Fabrizio die?
Oh my God. So Fabrizio doesn't have a life jacket, is able to get one off the dead Irishman that's covered in blood. Ugh. And is kind of, he's so brave, that Fabrizio. So like the lifeboats, like they're stuck, like the ropes don't come down. So it's like anyone has a knife. So like Fabrizio like has a knife and he's like making sure the ropes get cut. And then like the lifeboats are like tipping over. They don't even get all of them off. Like they're kind of like, they don't even have enough time to get them all off. So he's able to like, he gets thrown into the water and then he's just one of the few that is just kind of swimming around the boat. And those giant like pipe things, the cables break and it falls on him.
There's a bunch of scenes like that, except that is, I mean, usually in those cases it happens to somebody who you don't know, so it's just like some
that's
bystander.
what I was saying.
But this, it was Fabrizio.
So a lot of the people who die, so it's him, the Irish guy who gets shot, the woman who was dancing with Fabrizio is the one like holding on to the thing.
That Rose like looks at and then
she just lets go because she can't hold on anymore. Oh my God. So here are the parts that like really kill me. Okay, couple hugging in bed, yes. The musicians, yes. Here's an extra one. Well, yes. Okay. That fucking furnace room. Okay, first of all, when you're first introduced to how the furnace room works, you're like, who would have that job? Who would be like, I mean, I hope they're not paid well by any means.
Oh my God.
So it's this basically essentially hell. It's these giant furnaces, and you're telling me all day those guys are just shoving coal in there?
Yeah.
All day?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they take breaks and other guys come in or whatever, but like it's fucking nuts.
It's insane.
And then the most stressful part of like the whole movie, I think, is when they press that like emergency shut button and then the doors down there just start closing. It's like Star Wars. They're just like, gee, like they stop. So then guys are trying to get out. Guys get stuck behind the doors. They can't get out. They're dead.
The guy goes and gets one leg is basically like almost about to be crushed and he like pulls it in.
Much
There's
too
that
stressful.
one guy who like just doesn't make it. Oh my God. Like, are you going to give them, I don't know, 15-second notice before you push that button?
Like,
what is this?
Up. Yeah.
Like, what a horrible job.
Yeah. And I mentioned this, I think, when we talked about Tremors, but like part of my anxieties when I was little watching movies was that like these kinds of scenes really got to me because it made me put myself in that position. And it just made me think like, oh, how awful would it be to like just be stuck behind one of those doors and then you're just dead. And like the mother reading her children a story, like, yeah, she's going to read them a story, but then like the water's going to come in and then they all have to drown together. Like that is stressful as fuck. And so like stuff like that just really, that just really fucks me up. I'm fucked up. But yeah, what else?
I mean, I think that was all for my really, really sad scenes.
Okay.
I have others.
Yeah. I mean, that whole part is just, it's pretty bad. It's pretty awful.
I have other memorable scenes.
Okay. Talk about them.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay. So obviously when you watch this as a 14-year-old, I guess I was 14, the rose nude scene was like a pretty big deal. You know, I don't know if I had seen a lot of nude scenes then. And it was a PG-13 movie. So to see boobs in a PG-13 movie was like kind of a big deal. And people were very much like, whoa. In the theater, I think. Cool story. Kate Winslet did her own nude scene. Very comfortable being nude. Good for you. Mm-hmm. I feel like I would be like that. I mean, it's just a boob, whatever. And then when she first met Leonardo DiCaprio, she flashed him just to like get it over with. She's like, well, you're going to see my tits anyway, like whatever. But that's a really beautiful scene and she does look like really great. Why would they, so she like had that drawing and clearly that looked like very much like the old pictures that she had. Mm-hmm. So like, why wouldn't they have believed her?
I know. You would think. I know. I don't know. I mean, it's a drawing. I don't know. You can't tell. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. But beautiful drawing.
Yeah.
And then obviously, again, being 14 and sort of like naive and sex being very new, the car sex scene. Whoa. I
mean, yeah. And it's such a tame sex scene.
It is.
Obviously,
it really
it's a PG-13
But
movie.
I didn't see it like that when I was young.
I know. But now you're like, wow, it's really nothing. Yeah, it's really, they kiss and then her hand, you see her hand or his hand. Whose hand is it? I don't know. with the sweat, and then at the end they're like, after they've had sex, they're like just breathing heavily, and like Jack is like dripping sweat. It's like so sweaty in there.
Jack, you're trembling.
Yeah. Oh man, good stuff.
Yeah. Do you think they were virgins?
Well, that's what my question was, because speaking of Downton Abbey, like you realize that maybe everyone wasn't a virgin like we thought. Right. She probably was. I don't know. I think I'm sure Cal wanted to get busy several times.
Remember, he asked her,
probably raped her.
I thought you'd come visit me in my room the other night.
Right.
So were they doing anything?
He definitely wasn't. Yeah. I mean, he had been living in Paris.
The men were not.
He was free.
The men were never virgins.
Free to get STDs. But my question is, couldn't she have like gotten pregnant and then like?
I know.
I mean, it would be a one shot deal. But like,
I don't
if
think
she had gotten pregnant and like, what if that her granddaughter was actually the spawn of like her mother was actually the baby from them? That'd be
maybe
great.
that is the plot of Titanic 2. Yes, there is a Titanic 2.
I know.
How could there be a Titanic 2?
They made another. They make another Titanic, and then that sinks. Isn't that the story?
Okay. Do you think this is like I don't believe this kind of a thing? How did the necklace stay in the pocket the entire time of when she was
wondering that
on the ship?
On the
ship,
she's
going in the water,
out of the water,
please. Yeah, I was like, no way that necklace would still be there. I'm sorry.
Way.
Like maybe if she had kept it on. But not in a pocket.
No. Hell
so
no.
Crazy. So crazy. Okay. What else did I learn? Okay. So 2 other people I didn't hear about anyone else who's supposed to play the Rose role. I guess Kate Winslet was very into it and like was almost begging like James Cameron to take her. And it worked out because I thought she was really great in it. But they had studio really wanted Matthew McConaughey to be the lead, which cannot see that now. Way too old. I mean, he wasn't old then, but like, I don't know.
With his stupid accent.
Yeah.
Forget it.
No
Forget it.
And then Johnny Depp too.
Oh yeah.
Ugh, weird.
Yeah.
Can't see it. So also there is so James Cameron, when he wrote this, didn't envision anyone obviously pulling the main people from real people. He wanted just totally like false, fictional characters being the lead people. But eventually found out that there was a Jay Dawson, an Irish guy who was on the Titanic, and his grave has now become like the most visited of like anyone who died on the Titanic, just from people like trying to make that connection.
Probably
to the
like
movie.
some old guy.
No, he was like a 20-something-year-old guy. Isn't that crazy though?
Wow.
I mean,
yeah,
like common
crazy.
name. So there were 150 like main, so obviously a ton of extras for this film. I forgot what they said. Like they had to have like 1,000 sets of costumes for like all those people, but they had like 150 core extras that they would use for all the scenes. So whether they were like the third class passengers or the first class or whatever, swap costumes or whatever. And they took like this like crash course in like etiquette lessons from like that time period. And also like in their trailers, there was like a video playing on loop of like etiquette lessons for them to like remember what it was like to be in this time period. But James Cameron was so invested in this film that he went and sat down with every one of the 150 core extras and gave them like characters and backstories and like all this stuff and names for them. That's like how much he like wanted people to be so like much into this role, which I feel like it did really work. I mean, it did.
I didn't really think about them
was great
that much,
but there was just so many.
Right. I mean, how do you even focus on any one person?
Sorry, back to the really sad and like disturbing parts. The part where the guy like jumps off and hits the rudder.
Unbelievable.
And that guy
like,
was gonna jump, and he's like,
never mind. And like that sound, it's just like those bodies like falling. It's just terrifying. And when like the whole back of the ship just like falls on people, like the rudders.
You know what? In the end, when the ship is like fully upright and they're just on the back holding onto the railing, getting ready to be like sucked down, how scary that must have been. And I just like, I don't know, I have this weird thing where I just imagine what that would be like to be like looking down and just being like, okay, here we go, and just like the most terrifying minute of your life.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what this whole movie is for me. Is just me putting myself in all those situations, like being like, what the fuck?
I'm so glad like Rose had a good life and all that stuff, but let's think about like how much like PTSD, and, like horrible.
This is what I'm saying. Like, sell the necklace, get yourself some money, so you don't have to also go through the trauma of not having any money and starting your life over.
I mean, hopefully she thought of it as like anything else she encountered through the rest of her life. She's like, well, it's not as bad as being on the Titanic. I mean, what the fuck? fuck? I
what
would
the
just
fuck.
be so screwed up. There's no way I could live to be 100 because I feel like I would be so fucked up in the head.
True. It's
and
true.
like losing all those people and seeing all that tragedy. Oh my God.
Awful.
Like, what?
Awful.
The bleep.
So let's talk about the costumes for a little bit. What were your favorite Rose outfits? Mine is, I really like the outfit she arrives to the Titanic wearing. It's like the striped, like pinstriped little like dress suit coat thing with like a glorious hat.
I love when she steps out of the car.
Yeah, that's it.
And the hat.
With the hat.
Like, the hat brim is so big you can't see her face on purpose because you're not supposed to see her character until she's like looking at it. Oh my God, I love that scene.
That, and then my two favorite dresses are the one she almost commits suicide in, which is like this black and red like beaded one. It's really nice.
I love the earrings with
And
that.
then, yeah.
The emerald or the green earrings that she's
very gorgeous. And then her dinner dress, which is the iconic scene where Jack like meets her. She walks down the stairs and Jack's like waiting for her. So my whole like high school career, basically, I made it a goal of mine to get a dress that was like that for homecoming. So I think Sweetie and I have talked about this before, but homecoming was like our big dance. So we would wear like fancy dresses. So I finally found like the dress, which was like this kind of red beaded thing and then like a black overlay over on it. And I called it my Rose dress. And I was like obsessed with it. I don't know if you remember it, but it was my favorite. So yeah.
Okay, so my favorites are, I love the ones that are kind of around those beautiful hairpins that she has that are like the butterfly, which are like found in the wreckage and then she picks them up and whatever. And then you get to see them how they looked in real life, like when she wore them. And then it's that like kind of blue coat she has dress that's like so pretty.
That's pretty.
And then I do like the one where she is the sinking dress.
I know.
Which is
Whenever-
like the purple band.
with like
It's
a-
white with like a purple
White
band
with purple
or
and
something.
like a pink sash like around
and
the
then
front.
this really pretty coat over it.
But whenever she comes out in that dress, I'm always like, oh no,
I know.
it's time.
I know, but they said that that dress, they designed it purposely so it would look good dry or wet. And it was the coat that she wore was actually like a size bigger because it was going to get wet and they wanted her to look like
Well, she takes it off.
Yeah, but they
She's
wanted
like,
her
"Fuck
to
this
look
coat."
like all like, you know, it was a tough time obviously getting wet in these like pretty clothes. We know when she was on the door, like, you know, she's up on the door. The
big door?
Jack puts her on the door, so that's I guess why she lives, even though I'm like, I don't know, would it be like better in the water?
No, because it was cold. Is much colder in the water.
Usually
the water is
air
colder than
cooler.
the air.
No, usually the water is like warmer than the air. It's crazy.
Well, Jack died, so
Anyway,
I don't
so
know.
she still had her shoes on. And I'm like, you kept your shoes on through that whole thing?
Okay, yeah. What?
They were like high-heeled shoes. I didn't think they
They
were like
weren't
boots.
straps?
I don't think so.
crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Good times. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like, yeah, beautiful clothes. Obviously, all like the dress up stuff. It's a period piece. It's a period piece. Yeah. But love that, and just like the general decor of the Titanic was just so beautiful. And they had a lot of trivia facts about how during the water destruction scenes, a lot of them they only had one take for those because it would just completely going to destroy the set. So like most of the time they could just do it once, which is crazy when you think about
Well,
it.
I figured
in, like, a
I thought
movie
they
like
did that
this.
all with like special effects. for the
No,
most
like
part.
they actually like stuff got destroyed, which
Whoa.
is crazy.
I remember a lot of like the making of with this movie, and I remember it was a similar thing like when Jurassic Park happened, where they like showed how cool and good the special effects were, and you're like, wow, cool. But this one, I really do feel like the effects hold up, like that. The shot of the ship at the beginning, it transitions from the wreckage to like the actual ship. It's really actually quite impressive. So I still think the effects largely hold up.
I mean, I said that when we watched Terminator. I think the Terminator 2 effects that were like mind blowing at the time are still like really good. The like molten like metal stuff is like amazing. And this one, I mean, there's a CGI. Like I remember the making of, like you said, when they have them on the front of the ship and they're doing their makeout thing and like I can fly, Jack, and you know that was green screen like all back. And so you can like kind of tell that kind of stuff. But in general, like the ship and all the disaster parts, I feel like were like so well done. And there's just something about tragedy in like a water situation that I don't know, seems like the most dire and most scary to me. That like, you know, obviously there's like no way out. I guess maybe that is. Yeah. But the fact that people can survive that at all it just totally blows my mind that like anyone was able to survive that situation.
I mean, I think they pretty much show this in the movie, but like Rose seems to be the only person that survived that was not in a lifeboat originally.
Well, there's a couple other people in the boat with her.
There are?
Yeah.
Okay, that they do find. Yes. Okay. So I thought, everyone else is obviously dead, but Rose made it or whatever. But it was the lifeboats or nothing.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it was cold enough.
Yeah,
and
Ugh.
to be,
Even
like,
the people in the
wet and
lifeboats
stuff.
were like almost dying of
Yeah.
hypothermia because it was so cold. So
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. I mean, it like reminds me of that like Unbreakable. If you've ever like read that book about the Louis Zamperini, who was like this track star, but then became a bombardier in World War II, and then his plane went down in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and he was like on this life raft for weeks with these two buddies of his, like literally eating like seagulls, and like sharks were circling their boat. I mean, like, how do you fucking survive something like
what
that?
if sharks came to the Atlantic? And I mean, it was too cold for them probably, but like all sharks. Okay, I do have to say, so like Sweetie said, I do find this movie mostly cheesy at this point in my life. But what was really like the ultimate cheese, it was just too much for me, was when the dolphins are like swimming in the front of the boat at the beginning, and they're like so excited. That was just too much. It was too much for me with the dolphins.
I guess those aren't the right kind of
no,
dolphins
and I was
either.
going to say those are like SeaWorld dolphins, and I don't think they're in the Atlantic.
No, they didn't have the right kind of dolphins. Which was,
That part's cheesy, and I feel like this movie would have been a better film if they had gotten rid of all that stupid present day shit. Because like really, if you got rid of that, you're not missing anything. Rose still sees the necklace. Like I think it should have ended with her having the necklace, and then you just make up your own ending. Basically, like I would have been like, oh yeah, she probably sold it and had a great life, and then like started over again.
Yeah,
and then they could have shown those old pictures like over the credits or whatever of Rose doing all the stuff.
But like the story is about this search for this necklace, which had to have been in a different time period.
It could have just started with them on the ship, like the ship, or like everybody waving.
If the present day stuff was actually more of the movie, I would have felt bothered. But I didn't feel like it really like took you out of the movie that much.
Hate it.
I don't know. I thought it was
so
fine.
cheesy, and
I
like
thought it was fine, and I like seeing her. That you meet her as a young woman. Well, you meet her as an old woman first, but then you see that she did like accomplish all she set out to. Because I think the whole point of the story is that like she kept this memory of him inside her, which was like a driver for her whole life in some ways.
Yeah.
So you
but you
see
could get
that all
you
happen.
can get that without this flashback, which is what I'm saying. Like
But that means you're not showing her as an old woman. That means you don't know that she made it. That you don't know like all that stuff came to be. So
you could show a picture of her as an old woman. I don't know.
No. I think it was fine. You guys
But what's
are
the
too
part
picky.
you were talking about? So the old lady, the part that set you off.
Oh, well, I love that part. So she comes out. She's like all like, walking out barefooted, probably freezing out there with a little nightgown. She still has this like long, beautiful hair. And she is like holding the necklace, and she just looks at it, and she's this most like serene look on her face. And it's almost like she had this weight on her shoulders of this necklace her whole life. She'd been keeping it, reminder of this whole experience, and she's able to just kind of like let it go. And it's almost like that's like how she could, kind of maybe go to rest.
I'm not super into her old lady mullet. I'm not. I have to be honest.
I think she's gorgeous.
Skews
Anyway,
me
so
out a
she's
little.
holding the necklace, and she just goes, oh, and just is like almost like it doesn't fall out. She does it on purpose, but it's just like so adorable, and she's just like so cute. And,
I can't remember what the parody was on the MTV Movie Awards, but they used to do really great parodies on that award show, and the Titanic one was really funny, and I forget now what it was. We'll find it after this and I'll watch it, but I just remember them like spoofing that hardcore like scary movie or something. But it was just that's why that part just like always cracks me up, because of that damn parody.
Yeah. No, I can see that too. But I mean, I think in general for me, it does hold up still. I still find it incredibly romantic. I mean, I think some of the dialogue is kind of wooden. Like, I don't think it's the best written. Some of the acting is like good, but not great, I'd say. And I think a lot having to do with the script. Like those actors are great actors, but I think like the script was kind of, a little bit but it's still like just really gets me. And I think, like I said, it's a lot more around like this was a real event that happened to real people. It's not a fictional story. So that just like really tugs at my heartstrings.
So I wanted to look up so this movie obviously won the best picture. But do you remember like the movies that it beat out?
So you want to look up the
68th.
98 Oscars.
98.
It's always a year. If it was in
So the
97.
69th Oscars. 69th Oscar nominees. Okay. Because I remember like reading this list once and being like, that is really fucked up. No, that's so the year after.
Do 1998.
70th.
No, 1998. Do it by the year. 1998.
No,
Oscar
the next
nominees.
one is the 70th. So the other one was Good Will Hunting. It was against, which I think is
that's my favorite
honestly a
film.
better movie than Titanic, The Full Monty, L.A. Confidential, and As Good as It Gets.
Those are
So,
great
like,
films.
all great movies, but obviously like Titanic is. For the spectacle of it, and yeah,
Right. And I think that is often what the best, because if you remember, all those movies got heavily, those were a lot of winners for the actor ones, I believe. So Titanic won none for the acting, but all those other ones they won for the acting stuff, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Or screenplay. So they all got like nominated for won awards for great things, but just not, because I think the best picture sometimes can be like, a little bit more like cumulative and about, everything coming together. If it was like some crazy achievement, like remember when Return of the King won for Lord of the
everything.
Rings? I don't think that was the best movie of that entire, those choices, but it was a culmination of that whole series being so well done.
Right.
And like the
spectacle.
achievement of the spectacle and of that director and like the whole cast kind of a thing. Yeah. So I think that was fitting.
Sure.
Did he win for director? Did you see? He did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And I'm sure it won for like all the effect shit. Yeah. So
Costumes. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's like well deserved. Do you want to hear this crazy story I read in the trivia? So apparently during the shooting of this, some like either a crew member got fired or something, I don't know, and put PCP, angel dust, in the clam chowder served to the cast and crew.
What?
And you had people getting horribly sick, but also being like tweaking out. So that's how they figured it was like a drug situation. James Cameron also ate the chowder and made himself throw up because he realized what was going on, but he still had like crazy, like weird drug eyes for like a portion of the day, or they had to shut down shooting. Like Bill Paxton got like real sick. Luckily the sweet, like little Gloria Stewart old lady, like didn't eat with them. So luckily didn't get drugged. I don't know if she could have handled it, but I don't know if they ever figured out like who it was, but they thought it was like some crew member who got fired or had some argument with James Cameron. Isn't that the craziest story you've ever heard?
Angel dust is PCP. Angel dust. What is it? What is that? Is that like just crazy cocaine? Like what is
I
that?
think you're just like tripping.
I just don't know. It was just one of those drugs that you learned about in Dare, but you were like, I don't really know what that is.
I mean, that better be a real story and not like some IMDb.
it might be an IMDb nonsense. As we know, we can't
drugging.
We can't trust them. It could have just been bad clam chowder.
No, well, they thought it was.
Well, food poisoning is like a
Yep.
drug.
This is totally true. There's a Vanity Fair article about it.
God.
The title is Titanic's Greatest Unsolved Mystery Involves a Conga Line, PCP, and an Unidentified Chowder. Oh my God. This is going to be the best article ever read.
Unbelievable. All right. Anything else? Again, I'm sad I don't have my notes. I'm sure I had great stuff to say. A couple jokes I wrote in there, but now they're gone. They're lost forever, just like the heart of the ocean. Good times, guys. Good times.
Yeah. But thank you guys for being with us for 200 episodes of the Large Marge Sent Us podcast. We thank you so much for being our lovely listeners. We do enjoy doing this for you every week, every other week sometimes. Used to be twice a week, guys. Remember the glory days?
Busy.
Remember the glory days? We didn't have anything to do. We just podcasted.
We didn't have a fiance.
I didn't have a fiance, so I had more time in my hands. But we're despite my rumors of potentially stopping the podcast when I move, we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
We keep going until you say stop.
What?
When we get 0 downloads, that's when
my
we call it
God.
quits.
Okay.
That's when we sink
Yeah.
our ship of dreams.
All right. Well, come and find us on Twitter at The Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye.
Bye. Rape Artist 200.